thanks everybody for hanging around so late at night. I realize it's 8:30 your time, so in the evening, which is much appreciated. You take the time to listen to our story. Vuzix has got an amazing story actually to share, so we're super happy that you could take the time to listen in. A little bit of background on the company first here. Hold on. Now that I did that, it doesn't seem to want to. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so we are a public company on the NASDAQ. The stock symbol is VUZI. You'll see that up here, I think, page after page here. We've been public since, I think, 97, and we are one of the leading providers of augmented reality smart glasses in the world today. I mean, I'm talking like we've been at this for like 25 years. We started in the defense space. We actually started making virtual reality headsets, great big bulky things. And we realized early on in the game that if things were big and bulky and they were hard to wear, they would never work in the real world, especially in enterprise. VR maybe for gaming and stuff like that, but when it comes to the enterprise and the real world where people are walking down the street, if you make big bulky stuff, it's going to fail. We were working with the special forces, the US military special forces, and we made this product called the TAC Eye early on in the game. And this tactical display was designed to plug into tough books and robots that they would throw into buildings. They could drive the robot around, and through our display they wore over their glasses, they could see what the robot was seeing inside the building. And this was a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago in the game here at Vuzix. These guys asked us all the way back then if we could make Oakley style sunglasses that had computers in them and display screens so they could get rid of their tough books, laptops, etc. They were carrying 300 pounds of gear around. They wanted super lightweight, fashion forward, smart glasses that look like Oakley style glasses. They called it the Oakley Gate. And they said, Paul, half the military would buy these glasses if you could make them this fashion forward, lightweight solution. And we have found that that theme is consistent throughout the enterprise space today. And you'll see in the broader markets, it's a very similar problem. If you look at what's happening in the world today around smart glasses, there's been a lot of companies come and go. I mean, this has been a very difficult industry, but there is not a single large electronics and software social media firm on the West Coast of the United States that is not looking at trying to solve this problem. Wearable display technology is going to be the next step in computing, and Vuzix, because we've been at this so long and we've developed all this secret sauce to making glasses look like this gentleman's wearing right here, glasses that people would actually want to wear, we are being successful, and we are one of the only companies that is in a position to supply even into the broader markets, which is what this story is about. Let me kind of move forward now, give that's a bit of our pedigree. We've been here since 1997. Currently, we have about 120 employees. We are headquartered here in Rochester, New York, West Henrietta, and we have locations around the planet today. We have, global sales. Japan, Europe, and US are sort of major hubs for us. We have offices in all of those places, and we have operations and partners around the world today where we're selling our smart glasses successfully into the enterprise marketplace. Every year, we've unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Show the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, and it's gotten accolades and awards at the Consumer Electronics Show every year. This year was particularly amazing with some of the stuff that we unveiled, which I will share with you all shortly. We're basically the leading edge, and there's admittedly a lot of arrows in the back, but our business is changing right now. This industry is starting to really catch on, and for Vuzix, like I said, we're kind of leading the spear. This is what's going to happen, and what's been happening in the computer industry since all the way back in the 60s. A lot of you probably remember mainframes, giant computers that even had their own air conditioning in the building to keep them cool. Moved to the desktop, the laptop, the smartphone, and practically everybody is projecting that smart glasses, when it's finally done right, is going to be the next generation of wearable computing technology of the future. And we've all seen it over the last 20 or 30 years as it's unfolded. This is the desktop, a classic desktop. And you'll see all these pieces and parts, from the calendar to your pictures, to your everything has turned into a computer on the desktop, to your phone, and ultimately to a pair of glasses. It's not so much about watching whales jump out of floors. If you guys have seen some of the Magic Leap videos and stuff, this is about connecting people to their information and connecting that information to the real world. It's incredibly useful stuff that is going to completely change how computing is done. Spatial computing is going to become a big deal. What we are not is a virtual reality company. When you put a virtual reality headset on, you're isolated in the headset. So you're sitting in your living room, or maybe you're sitting in an office someplace doing some simulation or something. This is not how you get stuff done in the real world. It's cool and it's fun for people, but the people that are making these products are finding it challenging because it's really a smaller subset. Now, it's going to get more and more amazing, and I believe that the VR side of the world is going to just continue to grow, even though it's going through struggles as the technology needs to evolve and get smaller. But what Vuzix is about is connecting the real world to the digital world in the real world. So when you put our glasses on, they allow you to augment the space around you. So you can imagine being on a job site and seeing the progression of where the building needs to be over the next 3 or 4 weeks, how far along it is, whether or not things are getting put in correctly. All of that stuff will completely change the way a construction worker gets his job done and how the boss knows whether or not things are on track. This is completely game changing, and it's about the digital world and the real world coming together. This is highly useful kinds of stuff. And these are the kinds of products that Vuzix are shipping today. Admittedly, they're not as slim as what you're looking at here, but they're coming. And what's working for Vuzix in the enterprise space, because that's our focus today. It's primarily in enterprise. We have a series of products that give you this digital world connection to the real world. And you can see these things are lightweight. They're measured in ounces. Our competitors are like 1 pound to 2 pounds kinds of stuff. HoloLens is an example. And you know, HoloLens is this big bulky thing. When you put it on, you have to crank down the strap in the back. Within an hour, you've got a red band across your forehead because it hurts. There is no way you could give somebody a HoloLens and put them in a warehouse and expect them to be a highly efficient warehouse picker using that HoloLens for an 8-hour shift. It just doesn't work. You need these super lightweight devices. And the reason why Vuzix is being successful over our competitors is they are this light, but they're also highly functional at the same time. Some of these glasses have 8 core processors in them. They're Wi-Fi connected to the internet and the network connections, intranets inside of the office buildings and the like. So these are super capable, super lightweight, being used all day long. And I'm going to give you some examples here coming up of where they're being used and why people are doing it. One of the things that's critical is the wearability of the display. If you think about, again, not to throw HoloLens under the bus here again, but it's wear it one way. It's a thing you bolt it on. So if you need a hard hat, you have to build HoloLens into the hard hat. It's just not available. For us, we work with hard hats. We work with safety glasses. We work with your prescription glasses. We work left eye, right eye mountable. We have partners like Fielman that are making frames that you can put your scripts right in the frames that are designed to work with these glasses. You go into let's say a General Electric, and they have certain areas where they got construction workers where they need hard hats. There are other areas where they just need safety glasses. This solution works across the board, and you can take the glasses and give them to the next employee for the next shift, the next shift, the next shift. But the wearable part belongs to the employee. So it's a really good way to deploy, from baseball hats to visors, bump caps, universal clips. And we've got a bunch of different battery options that allow you to go for 8 to even multiple day kinds of use cases based upon what the job is that you're trying to get done. So they're designed to go to work today, and they can be deployed, and they can be deployed in volume. The reason why people are doing this and using them is the ROIs can be amazing. We work with Amazon as an example. Amazon in one use saved $100,000 putting the glasses to use in a remote support application inside of one of their warehouses. So the ROIs can be just significant. So it's increased productivity, travel. You send the glasses, they're in the remote site. Maybe it's a manufacturing plant. You can visit that plant through the glasses by giving them to a wearer in the plant. And the person who's doing the inspection inside the plant can sit in his office in San Francisco, let's say, and it is just like he was literally walking around inside the plant in China without ever having to get on an airplane. So it eliminates travel costs. It's a lower carbon footprint, improves worker safety. There's just a list of reasons why this technology is changing the way enterprise gets work done. And it's the reason why they're using Vuzix glasses, because they're deployable at the same time. The worker also likes them. Some of these workers put them on and they feel like they're Superman kind of a thing, right? Because they give them sort of advanced capabilities. In some of the areas we're working in, like distribution centers, and they're gamifying picking and packing to kind of speed up the worker and reward the worker for going faster. And when he's wearing our glasses compared to the guys that aren't, and he can pick more and get paid more for doing it, they just love that. They're the most durable pair out there today. You can wear them for an 8-hour shift. They're easy to use. It makes work easier. There's just a pile of reasons why workers are embracing Vuzix's products and smart glasses in the marketplace. And the areas where we're selling them into today, there's support and training, remote support, field service. I kind of mentioned a little bit about that idea of having a pair of glasses in your plant in China so you don't have to get on an airplane again. And manufacturing for work instructions and the like. Telemedicine, I'm going to give you some really cool examples in telemedicine coming up. I often say there's not an hour of the day that goes by where our glasses are not being used in some operating theater around the world. And warehousing and logistics is just starting to kick in for Vuzix. COVID kind of put that effort on hold a little bit because the warehouse activities, people were just focused on shipping things. Now what's happening is they're coming back around to actually using our glasses and being able to deploy them because people are back at work, and supply chain and logistics are a big problem these days, which I'll describe a bit more here shortly. So it takes an ecosystem. These glasses are a computer. If you don't have software running in the computer, they don't do much. It's sort of like would be having your laptop with an Excel spreadsheet that doesn't exist on it. So there's no way you could do spreadsheeting, or there's no way you could get on the web. This is the same thing. You need applications running, and there is an ecosystem of applications available today. From connectors that just allow Zoom to run. I could put my glasses on right now, join this call, and walk around our plant floor here, and everybody in this meeting could see what was happening on our plant floor. Kind of a thing. TeamViewer is a $5 or $6 billion company that has applications for warehousing, for logistics, for remote support. Blue Jeans by Verizon. You can see there's a pile of applications now that just off the shelf work with the glasses. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it would cost a couple of $100,000 to put in a pilot to make this stuff work. That's no longer the case. And it's why deployments for Vuzix and our business is starting to grow. In fact, we're having our first quarter of this year. We said this on our conference call. It is one of the strongest quarters Vuzix has seen in the last 10 years at the company. So it's, our business is going like this. It's going to be an exciting 2023. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this infrastructure now is in place and deployments are really starting to happen for us. Mobile device management and developer tools is another piece that's important. MDM is a way to manage these devices in the field, and we have a pile of companies that are the leading MDM companies that are used around the world today by some of the major companies like Microsoft, Intune, and the likes, and these applications just work on our glasses now. So from updating them, from geofencing, so if you don't want them to work, if they're, outside the plant floor, all that stuff just plugs and plays. And then we have plugins and tools that work with Unity, Vuforia, et cetera. So companies that are writing their own applications around our glasses, these tools are just available for them today. All that infrastructure just exists. To give you a feel for just a few examples of where our products are being used, I had mentioned Amazon earlier. They have a bunch of our glasses. They use them to support and maintain their warehouses in Europe right now. This is an expanding program with these guys. There's a Fortune 50 retailer, global retailers, more than one of them actually. We have a bunch of, there's some of the largest guys that ship products in the world today, and they're using our glasses in their distribution centers for doing things like pick and pack to a pallet. If you think about a pallet picking job, right? This is not something people ascribe to retire from. So the turnover rate for this job where you pick goods, you pack them on a pallet, and then the pallet gets put on a truck to get shipped from the distribution center to whatever store it might be. If that pallet's not packed right, it's 20% underweight, let's say, your shipping costs just went up by 20%. If the pallet is packed with the cornflakes on the bottom and the water sitting on top of it, by the time it gets to the store, those cornflake boxes are all busted up. This is a job that literally takes several months to learn how to do. And like I said, the turnover is 100%. We're in multiple warehouses, distribution centers right now with these guys, and it's growing. This fall, there's a bunch of them that are going to be rolling out. You give a brand new employee our glasses, and before the day is up, they're picking and packing perfectly. And so it's a high turnover job. The training is extensive. All that goes away. The ROI by using our glasses in these distribution centers is it's huge. And if you look at the numbers, they're significant. The number of distribution centers some of these companies has are large, and any given center could be upwards of $500,000 at least to deploy in. So it's an exciting piece of our business, and there's multiple tier one retailers that are using exactly that kind of application that I just described to you. General merchandisers, leading apparel companies. I mean, there's this whole idea of supply chain and warehousing and logistics is really kicking into overdrive for Vuzix. There's a bunch of other field service and manufacturing. These are just some sampling of companies that are using our products today. USAA, Clorox, KDDI. There's hundreds of companies that are doing POCs right now, proof of concepts, that are many of them, not all of them, but many of them are starting to turn into deployments that are reasonably significant for Vuzix. On the healthcare side, they're using our glasses for a lot of different reasons, which I'll describe a bit further here. One of the most common ones, though, is to support a doctor while he's doing an operation, and or for that doctor to be able to share and teach how to do a particular operation. These are a smattering of some of the organizations that are using our glasses today. Like I said, there's probably not an hour of the day that goes by where they're not being used, but it ranges from that application I just described to actually doing knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries. It's a fundamental part of the surgery itself, with companies like Medacta and Pixie, and companies like Rods and Cones and Proximy are using it for this whole support in the operating theater and collecting data to help with the next operation when it happens. I'll give you an example here in just a minute. And why Vuzix versus our competitors today. First of all, this device that this young lady is wearing, it's our M400. It's one of our flagship products today. And it's got, looking out the front, so when she's looking inside, right, she sees this beautiful OLED display that just floats in space out in front of her. Behind that, in the eyepiece itself, there's a 4K broadcast quality camera. And that camera is hooked up to an 8-core processor that sits in the body of the glasses going down the temple. So what can happen is while she's wearing those glasses, she can stream 4K broadcast quality video to anybody that might be watching. In some cases, maybe she's a doctor in South Africa and she's doing an operation for the first time. A particular component of it is different. So she gets a support call from a doctor in San Francisco, let's say, that understands that operation really well. With the software that we have and some of the software that our partners have developed, HIPAA compliant software, literally the person sitting in San Francisco can draw on the screen and in the overlay of what she's seeing with that beautiful OLED display, see what he's circling. So if she's supposed to cut a certain piece of tissue or pick a certain tool, it's like he's sitting in the operating theater with her, helping her do that operation. On the flip side of the coin, it can be used for teaching purposes. And the gentleman in the bottom right, I'm going to show you this video in a minute, and I apologize, it's a little bit graphic. He's doing an open heart surgery coming up, and the open heart surgery, what's happening is he's streaming it because there's a whole bunch of folks that are trying to learn how this operation is done. You can have an infinite number of people that are doctors that are looking in to see this operation being performed, and you'll see it just in a few minutes. The reason why our glasses work versus the competition, if you know HoloLens, you'll realize that there's no way a HoloLens would fit over all the rest of the gear that this doctor's wearing. It just doesn't fit. It can't be deployed for this. HoloLens runs for an hour and a half. Magically, very similar circumstance. It just does not work in the medical space. This doctor's got these eye loops on. He's got a super bright flashlight looking down, and all of that. Somehow you got to fit the smart glasses so that they can help you during the operation. This operation might have been a 9-hour operation. Don't even need to have a battery change through the operation, which is key because the doctor can't touch anything. He's got to stay sterile. So all of those reasons are why the competition doesn't work in the medical space and in many other places, quite frankly. Our glasses are IP67 rating, so they can be sanitized. They run Skype, Zoom, WebEx, and some of these HIPAA compliant applications. It's all voice control and hands-free control. And it's currently being used by some medical professions for as many as 16 hours a day. We have donated a bunch of them to the Ukraine hospitals at the same time. Ohana one of our partners, is Doctors Without Borders. They're supplying their services to those doctors in the event they need support with things like blunt trauma injuries and the like. So it's an amazing tool. What you're going to see here in a moment, I'm going to play this video. You'll see there's an open heart surgery going on. There's no room around this doctor because everybody that's there is helping him. But you'll see the glasses are turned on, and then you'll see an inset in the bottom right corner of the screen where it streams this video. And you can even see the sutures of the doctor's operating stuff that he's doing. I will say we're running Zoom, and it may not come out as well as it should. If you guys want, these videos are available, links to them and stuff on our website and or our YouTube site. So let me hit play here. And you can see there's no room for somebody else to get around this doctor while he's doing this operation. You can see the M400 sitting there. And right there in the bottom right, you can see the suture.
已经在录了。对，这个心脏跳动不正常。
The competition just would not work. There's not a single competitor out there today that could work in that environment besides Vuzix. We work with companies like Medacta, Johnson & Johnson, Medtronic, Ohana One I mentioned earlier have got hundreds of units in the field. There's been many thousands of surgeries done. In the case of Pixie Medical and Medacta, the first one and the fourth one over, these guys are literally using the glasses to help perform the operation. You can see underneath Pixie Medical, he's got the glasses on. The view that you're seeing in the background is what he's seeing through the glasses. Those glasses are looking down at that person's knee. That knee's got a superstructure on it, and the glasses measure where that superstructure is in place. When it gets to the right position, they know that's where they need to put the screws into the person's knee to finish the surgery. It's a fundamental part of that operation. Rods and cones, they're in, I think it's 1,000 hospitals now, and there's been over 40,000 surgeries in 75 countries worldwide. Our medical business is really doing quite well. It's healthy and growing, and there's more and more applications that are coming out that use our glasses in this space, which, quite frankly, is amazing. We didn't really build the M400 for the medical space. We did make it IP67 compliant. It has the FDA certifications to be used in that space. It was one of those spaces we thought that would take forever to adopt the glasses because that's how the medical environment is. It just takes a long time. That said, what happened here was COVID. And when COVID hit, nobody could get into the hospitals to do operations. The med techs couldn't be there to support the doctor while he was doing the operation. And these glasses perfectly fit to help solve that problem. That gave it a start. And now it's just been growing nicely for Vuzix. It's one of the cornerstone pieces. So we got a really good business going right now. Our medical side of it is doing well. Remote support is kind of like a baseline for us. And warehousing and supply chain is right behind it. We have a pile of companies, and you'll be seeing throughout this year, and in fact, a reasonable portion of our growth this year is in this side of the space. This is where people are using our glasses in distribution centers around the world in their maintenance departments to keep their equipment operational because it's so highly technically designed equipment. This part of our business, super exciting that it's taking off the way that it is. So we got a great core business making smart glasses. They're being deployed all over the place. 2023 is going to be a great year for growth for us on that side of our business. And towards the end of last year, we acquired our first software company called Movient. Movient is in the supply chain, a pretty unique portion of it. It's SAP driven, so it could be used in a lot of places. But this is designed as an offline picking tool that works with smart glasses and barcode scanners and the like. And it's a SaaS-based solution. We expect 7-figure contribution to revenues this year. So if you look at last year's numbers, you'll add maybe 20% of what last year's numbers were to what this year's numbers are just with this. And it's a super high margin model. And we're working with some of the very large aircraft industry, avionics industries that have deployed already and will be deploying in a bigger way throughout this year, this software solution to help them pick in adverse conditions, and much faster because everything's resident in the glasses to help do the picking. So this is our first SaaS-based solution that kind of fits hand to glove with our hardware at the same time. So we're excited about the whole SaaS-based side of our business and where this is going to go into the future. So we've been at this for a long time. And for the last 26, 25 years now, we've been working on solving that US military use case where, how do you get to Oakley style sunglasses? How do you get the glasses that people will really want to wear? And to do that, we've developed these really amazing optics. They're leading optics in the world today, I would suggest. This is not for the weak of heart. It takes a lot of money. There's been upwards of $300 million invested in Vuzix to build this core technology. And a lot of companies just can't afford or don't have the infrastructure for those kinds of optics people and optics capabilities. Vuzix has built it. We've got manufacturing plants right here in Rochester, New York that manufacture these optics. I'll show you what a waveguide is in just a few minutes to get a feel for it. But as you see, some of our glasses are starting to look exactly like a pair of Oakleys. And to do that, a lens has to get built that you can project an image into. We call that lens a waveguide. The waveguide in the display engine itself that gets projected into that to give you this heads-up display experience like that's in your car, but in a pair of fashion-forward glasses, that technology is all developed by Vuzix here in Rochester, New York. And a year ago, we started a new group at Vuzix. It's an OEM group that is enabling certain portions of the marketplace in defense, enterprise, and consumer with that technology that's going to catapult our sales up in a significant way. We're not creating competitors in our enterprise space. We see a multi-billion-dollar business for us in the enterprise space. But when you start talking about the broader markets and you start talking about the defense markets, there's a big need right now to solve these problems to make these glasses truly wearable. And I'll give you a feel for that here in just a few minutes. But what we're doing is we started a year ago designing, selling, and manufacturing the wearable display core technologies that we've developed over the last 25 years. Advanced optics and high volume waveguide productions, we built all that. And we built it at price points that can be part of the broader markets. We're able to enable mass market, like I said, volume pricing, and we can do off the shelf to full customization. All the competitors that we know of that might be making a waveguide, which honestly, there's not that many, but those that are, they make a design. Here's the design. You take this design and you put it in your glasses and you get that look and feel. Within a couple of months, Vuzix can spin a brand new design that allows you to customize and give different SKUs. And as part of this business, at CES, we announced our first white label platform. This platform is a pair of glasses called the Ultralight, and it is exactly like, almost impossible to tell from the form factor of an Oakley pair of sunglasses. So the OEM side of our business, we produce waveguides. You can see there's a waveguide here on the left-hand side. And in the middle, the optics that couple the waveguides and the engines together. And then finally, the display engines that actually create the image that shows up inside the glasses. This is a subset of stuff that Vuzix does. We manufacture the waveguides in Rochester, New York. The display engines and the like, we have partners that make millions of cameras on a monthly basis into the smartphone industry that are manufacturing those engines for us, but they're our designs and it's our technology that they're manufacturing. So the waveguides, we can do custom from your set of specifications. This is kind of a bit of a pitch for let our experience do the work for you. Look, Vuzix knows how to do this. And this is one of the things we bring to the table that it's not easy to come by. It's one thing to replicate a waveguide. It's quite another to design one that's going to go into a pair of glasses that have a look and feel for what people actually want to wear, or that have a certain set of performance specifications that are required for, like in the defense markets. In the defense markets right now, I think it's probably worth a little bit of a detour at the moment. In the United States, there's this program called IVAS. If you look it up, you'll see the US Defense Organization put together an IDIQ contract for Microsoft for $20 billion to develop and deliver this thing called IVAS, which is a derivative of HoloLens. And it's been a big failure. Again, not to throw Microsoft on the bus, it's a hard thing to do. And they tried to solve so many problems with IVAS that it ended up being this albatross. All these companies need to have some of the capabilities of what's in IVAS. And so these defense organizations now, because they're not going to get IVAS, they're coming to Vuzix. Vuzix has a pile of defense companies. Maybe the numbers are up in the, certainly it's about 10, between 10 and 15 companies. They're leading companies in the defense space that are coming to Vuzix to support and to supply these waveguides. And that's why this customization thing is so important. The ability to supply a solution that does this, that, or the other thing in a particular given form factor. Those are critical capabilities that Vuzix brings to the table. And then we manufacture right here in the United States, which for the US military, that's a very important aspect of life these days. So we can do field of view changes, geometry, multiple grading options. I mean, we have a plethora of things that we can do around waveguides. We've done hundreds of different designs, so we're highly capable on this front. So from design to full up production, Vuzix is a one-stop shop, and that just doesn't exist today. Beyond the waveguides, the projectors, you see this projector in the background there, that's a projector like you might have in your living room, that if you turned it on and pointed at the wall, it would, project up on the wall. This thing is the size of a pencil eraser. And that's why we can make our glasses so small and tiny. It's because we've designed and built these little tiny display engines that work with our waveguides, hand to glove. So as you can see, we're a one-stop shop for smart glasses and the smart glasses technology. A lot of it around waveguides and optics, which is, giving us a big edge. The broader markets is where this is going in the long run. You're not going to see Vuzix selling in a big way into the broader markets. You're going to see us enable third-party partners in the broader markets, either with a white label solution where they put their name on the side of it, and or where Vuzix is selling in part of the key components that are going into the high volume side of the marketplace. So how do you get there, and what are the keys for success on that side? Hollywood's made it hard. Everybody's got these expectations, well, at least the technical people, of putting these glasses on and they're going to have dinosaurs running around out in front of them. There are so many more things you can do right now that are highly capable, but that can be put in this form factor. This is a hard thing to solve. In the long run, I believe glasses are going to look like this, and they're going to be able to do what this video I'm going to show you just a short clip of in just a minute. But between now and then, we can make the glasses that look just like this, but they solve for real problems that people need today that will allow them to put their phone and keep their phone in their pocket.
But it's just a squeeze.
Wow.
I mean, that's where it's going to be ultimately. And when that happens, everybody will wear these glasses. Okay, my mother still has a phone wired to the wall because she doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't know how to use it. But if you think about the youth of the world today, and a lot of people, this is going to be game changing, especially when they look and feel like that, and so connecting the digital to the real world. That said, there is so much that can happen right now if you have a pair of glasses that people will actually want to wear. And here's two examples. The one on the far right down on the bottom, that's state-of-the-art augmented reality kind of glasses. And that's like a HoloLens kind of a thing, or a Magic Leap. It's big, it's bulky. There's no way you can use it for a full day. In fact, an hour later, it hurts to wear. The glasses to the left of that, that's a pair of our newest ones. We call that the Ultralight. It's part of the Ultralight platform. And you can see they look like they're a pair of Oakleys, and they give you a lot of the experience you need to help you get things done today or leave your phone in the pocket. It seems obvious. People don't want to look like they're a cyborg. You just stuffed off the Starship Enterprise. People won't wear that stuff. They might in their living room to play a VR game or something, but it'll never happen going down the street. Glasses are a personal statement for people. It's a fundamental roadblock to market adoption today. There's upwards of 64% of people that wear glasses. You have to be able to incorporate a prescription into them at the same time. Prescriptions need to work well. You need comfort and weight less than 40 grams. We announced this offering at the Consumer Electronics Show, and this is the first time at CES I've had giant fashion brands come into the booth saying we could put our name on that. And we're beginning to work with a bunch of these folks because they see the ability now to finally get to the point to where their customers, which are very, very conservative. I mean, you think about it, when you go out and buy a pair of sunglasses, even, you might spend an hour trying to pick out the pair of sunglasses that you like. And weight is critical, and that fashion forward is all part of it. Our glasses have finally reached a point in our technology to where you can solve that problem. And then finally, people like choices. So it's not going to be one size fits all, like Google Glass was. You know, Google Glass, it was this one thing, it looked very, very odd, and that's what you could buy. That's not the way it'll be. In the eyeglass industry today, it's a unique pair for every single person. Mind you, people pay for that privilege, but you have to be able to fit into that model. And our ultralights that we unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Show can do exactly that. You can get these with your script. You can see this young lady looks like she could style those out with her friends, either on the beach or wherever. They're very fashion forward kinds of glasses. They're designed to work with the phone. Like, we got some really cool stuff coming on that front, but even right now, we were at the Consumer Electronics Show and this young lady put these things on and she's hearing impaired. So she could not hear what was going on around her. And the phone was turned on and it was just listening, and it was converting what people were saying to English so she could read it in the glasses. She was in tears because, you know, here she was finally being able to participate in a conversation that was going on around her without having to struggle to try to read lips and the like. It just was easy. So from language translations, the closed captioning stuff that I just mentioned to you, from navigation, I mean, all of these things just work with these glasses right now. So you might imagine you're skiing down the hill, you get a text message, a lot of people stop, they pull out their phone, you don't have to do any of that anymore. There's so many things that you can just leave your phone in your pocket for these glasses. And the way they work is there's a little display engine that's just forward of the X in Vuzix right there. And then that display engine, that little projector, that's the size of the pencil eraser I was describing earlier, that projects into the waveguide that's in that right eye. And the batteries in this thing will run for 2 days doing those kinds of functions that I just described. So this is out of the box. Remember smartwatches when they first came out, people were frustrated because 2 hours later they had to recharge it again. This is a device right now that looks like Oakley style glasses that could come in multiple different SKUs that weigh less than 38 grams and can run for 2 days without a charge. It's state of the art, amazing, way out front of everybody. And when we have a pile of companies coming to us that are looking to do this private labeling, OEMing, and or buying engines to build their business with. Vuzix is the only company right now that can make a pair of glasses that are this functional, that have this look and feel, and that have the ability to address the broader markets and do a whole lot at the same time to grow and build our enterprise business. So it's exciting times. The whole idea behind this is a white label and or customized for different SKUs. You can see here, let me pass forward, look and feel, touch. I mean, you're going to be able to, just like you walked into a sunglass hut and you had all those options, you will see different SKUs of smart glasses now that are standard offerings coming out of some of these fashion forward brands. It's exciting. Put your name here. That whole idea is the white label, and or you buy the pieces and parts from Vuzix because they're only built here in Rochester, New York. And we can do that in high volume because we have a manufacturing plant here that we built that's specifically designed to build these things in volume and at price points for the broader markets. At CES, some of the comments that we got, I mean, you can find some of these things on our website, but this is what Google Glass should have been 10 years later. 38-gram smart glasses to make AR practical, yada, yada, yada. It got a lot of accolades and a lot of positive attention at the show. And since then, it's really been kicking our OEM business into overdrive. It's exciting, quite frankly. The OEM engagements are expanding for Vuzix right now. You can see it's been relatively modest, but today we're in the teens of companies that are signed up doing some level of effort with Vuzix right now, and it just keeps growing. Admittedly, these are programs that come with engineering fees at first. You know, we're building custom solutions for folks, but ultimately these things are going into production. And on the defense side, which is one of the biggest right now, as you can see, we this year, we should see some programs going into production programs because we've been at them kind of earlier on in 2021. So it's exciting to see this OEM side of our business kicking into overdrive. And the cool thing is Vuzix is one of the only companies that can supply these optics and the engines and the volume production on the planet today. It's really difficult set of capabilities to come by. Like I said, we've got $300+ million that we've invested into it. We have one competitor that only makes waveguides. He makes one kind of waveguide, and he got bought for $500 million just making waveguides. Vuzix has that whole thing on lock along with the rest of our business, which is growing. Our new production facility, it's just getting up and starting to run right now. We are currently in about 100,000+ quantities annually. By the end of this year, we'll be in the millions, and then our next step, of course, is just to grow. The facility that we just opened up has the ability to expand, and we are building the base equipment for the replication. All of that's designed and built by Vuzix. And ultimately, we see that as part of the supply chain and some of these bigger, broader market kinds of opportunities. So it won't be just production in Rochester, New York. It will be selectively put in other places around the world. The total addressable market for the marketplaces that Vuzix is going after, it's estimated that in the enterprise space, it's 12 to 15 million units by 2026 in the marketplace. This is just the piece of it, right? Total units are upwards of 30 million by 26. You see these numbers a lot. This finally is a bit more conservative for where the marketplace is going. And then the total addressable market on the component side, which is our OEM business, you can see displays alone are upwards of $10 billion. And the lenses, which is the optics, the waveguides, it's upwards of $7 or $8 billion worth of business in the coming 3 to 4 years. I have no idea if it's going to go this fast. This comes from, I think it's markets and markets. I will tell you that beyond doubt, even the companies that have pulled back a little bit right now, nobody is taking their foot off the gas on making this next generation technology. They all see it's coming. It's just taking time to get it right. When you make products, again, not to throw our friends at Microsoft under the bus, but when you make big, bulky things that can't be worn for a full day, it's more of an experiment. It's not a product that can actually get deployed. And that's where Vuzix is at. We're making products that can get deployed. We're focused on design to production. And this is our HQ in Rochester, New York, and that is our manufacturing building, twin building right behind it. That's Vuzix in a nutshell. Can I take any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for a very insightful presentation. I think it's not very often you get someone with this much knowledge sharing about an industry that is very much in focus right now. I think we'll just jump into the Q&A. Quite a number of questions over here. First question has to do with manufacturing and assembly. Hi, does your lens in-house manufactured, or is it totally outsourced with your factory only doing the eyeglass assembly? Is the lens made of glass or plastic materials? And then there's another follow-on here. Is there a worry that China will replicate a similar product but at a fraction of the cost?
Well, first, the technology is completely developed by Vuzix for the waveguides. We do manufacture our enterprise products here in Rochester, New York, but we work with companies like Jabil and others for the high volume pieces and parts and finished products production. So you'll see as the volume gets big enough, some of that stuff won't be manufactured in-house. The display engines, the things that look, in fact, I've got one right here. This guy right here, see how small it is? That's a projector. This is a designed by Vuzix. Everything in this, the lens specifications, the flex for it, we source a display from another company, and this goes to a partner in Asia that manufactures cameras in super high volumes. This is set up for high volume production capacity, and this won't be manufactured by Vuzix. It's manufactured by third-party partners. When it comes to the waveguides, it is an incredibly difficult thing to produce. The way people do it today is they use the semiconductor industry's nano imprinting technology to produce the waveguides. It's a large, flat piece of glass or plastic. We can do it on either one. And this has to have to within the wavelength of light performance across the surface of it with the nano imprinting. And the way everybody does it is they use EVG or they use applied materials equipment, and it's really expensive equipment, and it just doesn't go fast enough. And so by the time it's all said and done, the cost to produce is super high. And most of the Asian companies that we know of, there's not that many, are using that equipment and that technology to produce the waveguides, and their price points are high. So, you know, we can do it much less expensive. We can do it in bulk. We can control the tolerances, and it's all custom design stuff at Vuzix. So I think we can more than compete on the production side of the waveguide components of this. It's only taken us 25 years to get to the point where we could do this, but it's all custom equipment at Vuzix that's designed to make in volume very cost-effective devices.
Great, thanks for that. I guess there are a couple more questions here, maybe a little bit relative to big tech companies. Paul, would like to hear your comments on why Google glasses were not able to take off in the market back in 2013, 2015. And another one here, back in 2006, Microsoft was supposedly in negotiations with Vuzix. Looks like that deal had some roadblocks. Are you able to provide some color on this?
Well, first of all, let me talk about Google Glass. Google Glass was designed for the broad markets. Their initial thrust was that it was going to be a consumer device. And as such, they made a lightweight thing, and they limited significantly what its capabilities were. They also put it up here in the upper right-hand side of your eye. It's not movable, right? So they made this very rigid but lightweight device. They realized that consumers, well, we all remember what happened. I mean, I think the term was, and I apologize, folks, but I'm going to use it. You were known as a glass hole when you wore Google Glass because you had that feeling of voyeurism, the way the camera stuck out in the front and the likes. And so privacy concerns and stuff like that in the consumer marketplace and the oddballness of it stopped it in the consumer marketplace. So what Google said was, let's move it into enterprise. But you'll notice, go all the way back to Google Glass 1, they never changed the industrial design of the product. So they never addressed the needs of the enterprise marketplace for things like, if I need it low in my vision, like imagine the doctor wearing Google Glass with the camera sitting up here, which by the way, the camera was a 5-megapixel, no autofocus built in. So it was a really poor camera. But then again, you got the glasses on it and you're looking down, you got to almost break your neck to get the camera to look into the cavity of the person that you're doing the operation on. So it doesn't work for enterprise either. And that's why you don't see deployments of Google Glass for many, many reasons associated with the industrial design and the fact that Google never evolved that product except to put a little bit faster processor in it over time. They I think have always felt they were going after the consumer marketplace and the enterprise was a side thing for them. So that's the Google Glass failure, I think, was related to the fact that their focus was just in another place. Even their heart, I mean, they really never were that pointed on the enterprise side of the marketplace. And we're being successful in enterprise because we designed our products to fit and work and go to work in those spaces for 8-hour days and to manage the glasses so that they can do the job that needs to get done. You know, as for Microsoft, there's been more than one company come through our front door that has interest and eyes on Vuzix. I can't get into a lot of details about any of that sort of stuff, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, we make waveguides and we make darn good ones. So you can imagine they would have some level of interest at Vuzix, right? But I really wish I could share more, but I can't.
Yeah, understood on that. I think we'll move on to some more questions here, a little bit on I guess your adoption rate and some of your sales strategy. You know, what is the adoption rate and strategy for glasses? What is the success rate of a sales pitch? What's the take-up rate when you approach enterprises right now?
So number one, we have gone from an ISV only strategy. ISVs are software vendor partners. So we got guys like TeamViewer. There's a whole bunch of them out there that support our products. We've gone from a model that was centric, just supporting them and using their sales channels as they open up the marketplace, to a channel strategy today now that pulls in a lot of companies that are value added channel partners. So they have built their businesses on solving problems and supplying solutions that would include a third party's piece of software and a particular piece of hardware. And then they're working directly with the customer to help them be successful. And that strategy over the last year and a half has accelerated business for Vuzix from everything that we can see. Like I said, our first quarter, we're having a great quarter here. It's going to be one of our best in quite some time. And it's a lot related to the access to the channel, but it's also related to the fact that our customers are finally getting over those initial hurdles to actually do deployments. You can see the success that we're having in medical. That was driven a lot because there were outside forces forcing hospitals to adopt this stuff so they could still operate. So the ROIs that were huge for them. It's how you stay in business. The ROIs in some of these other areas are as big, but people have been defocused in problems with supply chains, and you don't want to upset the apple cart, but all that stuff is coming around now. And so you're seeing our channel expand as we bring on more partners that bring more to the table. They're not box movers. I'm not talking about just, we partner with an Ingram who maybe there's going to be pull through on the other side. These channel partners are people that are in the business to make smart and wearable technology be successful. And we're using those folks. We have our own team of folks. We have direct accounts that come to Vuzix, some of the larger ones right now that are getting ready to deploy, that we have our own sales team and sales engineers that support those guys to be successful. And then we've got this expanding channel strategy. That's for our standard products. We have an OEM group here also, and it's a tighter group. The OEM is easier from the perspective that it's easier to identify the customers that you want to work with. There's a smaller universe of companies that actually need the technology to deploy in their products. So it's a more direct approach in that side of it. In defense, by way of example, right? Maybe there's 50 key companies in the defense markets that really need to have access to this stuff. So they're much easier to identify. And we have a dedicated smaller group. It's not as expensive, that's able to go after that side of the business. Long-winded answer, sorry.
It's okay. Next question over here is a little bit more on the development process. Some of your factory production output. Who develops the software for your glasses? What's the process like, and how long does it take from development till it reaches the market for specific industries like warehouse and logistics, for example? What's your factory production utilization right now? And maybe you can share a little bit about the order book. How big is your order book right now?
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of stuff. You might have to remind me of some of that, Jonathan.
Sure.
First of all, the development process. The cool thing is things like this language translation application that I was describing earlier on, where the young lady was in our booth. Google services on the phone and Apple, both of them do so much stuff now that once you get the link to the glasses working, some of these things just happen. They just work. Now, that said, we work with a company called Xander. They took a pair of our Blade 2 devices, and they've turned these glasses into a hearing impaired pair of glasses. So the person puts them on, they don't have to turn their phone on. They don't have to do anything. They put the glasses on, and up in the glasses comes the text that people are saying around the person wearing the glasses. Now, it's taken them longer to do that, but what that allows, you think about it, right? You have a person that's deaf, that they're kind of challenged in their own right, and they put the glasses on now, and it just does the function. They don't have to worry about making a phone connection and getting a Bluetooth connection and all that other stuff. The thing just works, right? So it really does depend upon the depth of what you're trying to do. If you're working in a warehouse and you use some of the stuff like the stuff from Movient that we have, our partner, it can take maybe a couple of 3 months to get a deployment up and operational and tied into the back end system. The guys like TeamViewer, they can even do it faster because they've been at this for a long time, and they got all the connectors in place, and so it's gotten way much faster than it was before. If you're doing something from the ground up, we got software developer kits on our website. You can download those. We got information on there how to actually do the stuff to either put it directly in the headset or put it as a connection inside the phone. So it depends. If you're doing something that's simple, it can be done very fast. If you're doing stuff that requires a full integration into somebody's EMS system in their warehouse, it takes a bit longer.
Great. But other question would be, what's your factory production utilization rate right now? And maybe share a little bit more about your order book.
Our order book is growing. 2023, we should have consecutive quarter after quarter of growth. It should be a significant jump over 2022. Like I said, our first quarter is phenomenal. Our second quarter looks better than our first quarter already. In the quarter, we haven't even really started the quarter yet, but the book is looking pretty darn good. We know that by the fall of the year, some of these larger deployments with the distribution centers and stuff are going to start happening for Vuzix. So not only are the revenues going to be climbing, but I think we'll be able to have some nice announcements to share with the world about some of these large companies that are doing that with us. I can't, we're public, and I can't share with you guys something that I wouldn't share with everybody else. So I can't get into a lot of the details about the book other than to say that this is going to be the best year Vuzix has had ever. I'm very sure of that. And then that doesn't add in the movie and component of our business, and it doesn't add in the OEM side of our business, which is all incremental as part of this. So it's going to be a good 2023. The business book is doing nothing but growing for us right now. We've got more capacity than we need at the moment. Going into next year, I think as the volumes really start to climb, we will probably need for our standard products. The waveguides, we're going to have capacity, no problem there. But the standard products like the M400 and the Blade and the Shield, and you saw 4 products up there at one point, and I'm sorry I didn't spend much time on each of them to give them a fair shake, but those products we manufacture here. I would suggest that 1 or 2 of them we might be going out of house because the volumes will get to be big enough where it doesn't make sense for Vuzix to do that. We can get it done more efficiently out of house for those components. But right now it's all in-house, and we have enough capacity to be able to deliver to our current demands.
Great, thanks for that. So the time now is 9:32. I think we'll take a couple more questions if you're okay with that before we end it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I guess maybe we'll move into the product side a little bit. There's a question here: what's the cost of Vuzix Ultralight? Maybe share a little bit about what the product life cycle is. And maybe if you could share what's the gross profit like for a pair of glasses like that.
I'll let Ed talk to margins. I will say that as the volume picks up, our margins go up because our overhead gets covered faster. It just makes sense, right? I mean, you've got to get over that initial, you got to have a minimum system in place here, and you got to cover the cost of that. This is part of when you look at runway for Vuzix and how much cash we have as our business growing, our cash runway gets longer and longer, which is exciting to see as we move towards, knock on wood, break even at the company. We don't share right now the Ultralight. We probably would never share with folks what the bill of materials cost was, but I can tell you that there's no reason why that's not a sub $500 product. In fact, in the right volumes, it could be $299 in the marketplace. So it's designed and could be put into the mass market. But you have to get up, you have to make more than 10,000 of them a year. But the kinds of companies in the business that we're talking about with these things are in the many thousands of units. So you should be able to see a very consumer friendly price point on those. Certainly under 500. Nothing on the marketplace is under $500 right now in the smart glasses world today, but these guys certainly could be placed in that spot. Ed, did you want to offer any more detail on the margin model side of stuff?
I'm sure, Paul. I think the thing is with the glasses, we have glasses that sell from $1,200 to $2,500 each, and the ASPs can vary depending on whether somebody's buying 5 or 50 or 500. We do have an incremental fixed gross plant, that we start every quarter with. But the glasses family, incrementally, we can see maybe 40 to 50% gross margin, per device. Again, depending on where the ASP comes out versus the list price of these products. So, longer term at higher volumes, and especially if we start kicking in OEM, we think there's potential for us to get, well into the 40s as a company over time.
And on the defense side of the business, it's much more than that. As you might imagine, right? They're unique devices. They're more ruggedized, but you also can command a higher price for those.
Right.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for that. Last question here, before we end it off. How far are we from AR contact lenses? You brought it down from big bulky devices to small, I guess, glass frames. How far are we from
Well, first of all,
like
like,
Hollywood
yep.
like?
I'm not sure everybody will wear contact lenses. Okay, for what it's worth. And when we do get a contact lens that's finally there, it's going to have a lot of technology in it that the FDA is probably going to have a lot of questions as to whether or not it could be approved, because the heat associated with the displays, the tracking systems. I mean, there's just so much stuff that you need to put in that contact lens. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think there's got a lot of roadblocks to getting there. Maybe you guys know Mojo Vision is a company that was working on doing that. They've taken a step back from the contact lens side of what they're doing, to focus more on the micro LED side of what they're doing, because it's a long road to hoe to get through solving all of those issues associated with eye motion and the saccade of your eyes and the FDA issues. It's a cool concept, and I know of another company that makes a contact lens that works in conjunction with a real display on the outside, and it gives you giant fields of view. So I do think the contact lens will have a play in the future, but between now and then, I think you're going to see sexy, fashion-forward glasses that look like what people wear today, that most people would just handily put them on. I mean, practically everybody will wear sunglasses and the likes, and so we see that as the first stop along the way. And we see that getting incredible technology, incredible. Well, you saw the movie Free Guy where he's got the glasses on. I think at some point in time, you're going to be able to see glasses that are that cool, that have almost all of those capabilities. So that we see that as the first stop before a contact lens.
So sorry. Actually, there was one question that just came in. That was a good question, but maybe you could answer this on competition. Maybe you could give us a sense of the competition you're facing right now, and how do you see the competition in the future, maybe in the next 5 years, especially as the AI industry starts to pick up.
Yeah. Well, I think most of the companies out there today went about doing this, and they have a lot to learn. Like I said, we've been at this for 26 years, and when you look at something like the HoloLens or Magic Leap, they're these big, heavy things. They have limited run times. They're just not competition. They're more like science projects. I mean, they're cool. They're amazingly well done, but they're like the first kick at the can for these companies. And we're not seeing them deployed anywhere. And in fact, I think HoloLens right now is kind of put on hold. And Google Glass just last week announced that they're stepping down and out of this game just yet. I know for a fact that Google's still in the fight, though. I mean, nobody's stopping, right? They're all just kind of regrouping right now. And I believe that a lot of them need the kind of technology that Vuzix brings to the table. There's maybe one other company on the enterprise side. It's a company called RealWear that competes with Vuzix. They're not a public company today. It's hard to get a feel for what their business is like, although I will say that often when we go head to head with them, Vuzix wins. There are a few cases where they win because they're ATEX certified. So if you need something that's explosion proof, which Vuzix didn't see that as a big enough market to invest in, they would win that one just because that's the only option that you have, which is not a very big marketplace. In other places, their device is big and heavy and bulky. And so when you're in a warehouse, it just doesn't make sense to wear for an 8-hour shift kind of a thing. So there's a bunch of people doing stuff that is behind closed doors that, nobody's stopping. Even Even our friends at Meta right now, even though they're taking a small step back, and Apple was earlier going to take a step back, and now maybe they're going to come out with their AR, VR version of it, the mixed reality one here in 24. I mean, nobody's going to stop. This business is going to charge forward. For Vuzix, there's going to be competition, but for us, it's just how big of the pie are we going to get? There's a bunch of car companies. They're all winners. Hopefully, we're going to be one of the guys on the top.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be such a big industry in the future.
Yep.
Competition is definitely going to be, especially from all your big players, they're ramping up, and they're spending a lot of money on R&D and stuff like that. So with that being said, I think we've come to the end of the presentation. I just really want to thank both you and Ed for presenting to our clients and to our audience. Thank you for taking the time out of your early morning. And for the rest of our viewers that are still with us, I just want to thank you as well for listening in and learning a little bit more from Paul and Ed about the AR industry. So with that, signing off. Thank you for spending the time with us. Looking forward to seeing you guys in future webinars.